a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast. Harley's concert chat, and this is John with my story on the Doors. It was around the summer of '68, and Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore were in Vancouver at Pacific Coliseum, and one of the most memorable concerts I've ever seen. There are stories, of course, of Jim Morrison's alleged inappropriate behavior on stage at some concerts. Perhaps there was alcohol or drugs involved in that whole thing happened. When we saw the Doors in Vancouver in '68, there was no inappropriate behavior, let's put it that way. It was just a straight ahead, great rock concert. And I remember one of the standouts was, I'm guessing it was about 2/3 into the show, and they did Unknown Soldier. And there's a scene where they simulate a gun being shot, as if the soldier is being shot. Yeah. And at the moment you hear the lights go out in the entire Coliseum. I mean, it was just fantastic. And there's this, and the crowd goes, ooh, you know, and everybody's, half the people at least are stoned, you know, ooh, you know. And then a little spotlight beam directs itself to Morrison's head as he's lying face down with a microphone near his mouth on the stage. So you just see this circle of light with Morrison's head, and then he starts doing the comeback in the song. And the war is over for the unknown soldier. And then suddenly he leaps to his feet somehow from this prone position. I don't know how the guy was very athletic, I think, you know, and he just shot up, kind of like a Roger Daltrey type of physical fitness, I think. And he just shot straight up in the air, and suddenly all the lights come back on, and then they boom back into the song, just rocking it. It was just unbelievable. It was so tight, and when you consider the band didn't really have a bass player. Ray Manzarek on organ did the bass lines in the songs. Right. And Krieger, of course, best known as a lead guitarist, and Densmore on drums, and Morrison wasn't playing an instrument on stage. He was the lead singer. And considering just the three musicians behind Jim Morrison, unbelievable sound they got. They did not have support musicians the way that, right, you know, the Stones will have about 10 other musicians on stage when they're on tour. But the Doors...
More than likely, Ray Manzarek was playing left-handed bass, which a lot of bands that don't have a bass player, the piano, they play the piano with one hand and they play the bass lines with the other hand. And often the people that play left-handed bass are actually very good bass players, and it sounds as though an actual bass was being played, and it's very good. A lot of jazz groups do that.